Hi everyone, this is Kristen, the Cross Stitching Rara, and welcome to a stitch with me. It is the 1st of January for 2022 and we've got a lot of background noise going on right now. It's really windy day today, so it's making a few things of this house rattle, clunk, thump, bump and everything in between. And I've also got a fridge that is running in the background as well, so my apologies for a lot of that background noise. The project I'm going to work on today is Dewdrop Daisy. It is available on the Hot Cross Stitching website. I'll put the details in the description box below for where you can find this pattern and a lot of similar patterns for hot cross stitching. So this is my own design and it's a photo that I've taken and converted into a cross stitch pattern, and my aim of today is, I guess part of it being the start of the new year, is for this project to be a part of the a Facebook group called Full Coverage Fanatics. And with Full Coverage Fanatics, I've decided to participate in the challenge of 22,000 stitches in, because this is the year 2022. It's going to take a lot to get used to, knowing that we're now in a new calendar year, so it's going to be alright. So at the moment I'm just finding the colour I'm going to be stitching on. So I'm actually using an Android tablet that I received from Santa at Christmas time, and I am loving this device, and it is actually making my life a lot easier for stitching, because I've in times gone by used my mobile phone with Pattern Keeper on it as well to do stitching, and 9 times out of 10 it's worked wonderfully. There have been times when I've found it to be challenging when my phone might need charging and I might not have a comfortable seat near a PowerPoint or anything like that, and yeah, it's then a case where I need to then find a different project to work on that doesn't require Pattern Keeper. So first world problems it is. So I'm just using the loop method for this project. I'm using 2 strands over 2 fabric squares, and I'm using all DMC thread for this project, and I think this fabric is 25 or 28 count. The pattern does suggest or recommend 24 count. I'm actually not even sure if 24 count is available or possible. So yeah, it's just a matter of how I was able to get the design to fit and design to work. So I'm actually stitching on the model for this project. Well, this is the model for the pattern, and yeah, it's going to be all good. So with the exception of the 2 stitches that I've just done, I have stitched 18,326 stitches as of last year, and there is a total of 60,522 stitches in this project. And with what I've done so far, I'd have to say I'm tooting my own horn on this one. I think it looks pretty cool. So the last Flosstube episode that I did, where it's got it's my whip parade and a bit of haul. You hopefully will have seen this project, and I think it looks pretty cool. And if you've had an opportunity to have a look at some of my earlier episodes, this one has featured quite heavily in it, and it has been in recent months my focus piece. And this is the second stitch with me that I've done, and I'm hoping to be able to do more, mostly so I can get a bit of stitching done, catch up with you guys, and see how we go. So since today is January 1st, or 1st of January 2022, do you have any New Year's resolutions, or are there any goals that you want to achieve in the new calendar year? It's totally cool if you don't have any. I know that in recent years I've not really set any key milestones or key goals or anything that I've wanted to achieve by the end of the calendar year. A lot of it's because 360 odd days in a year is a long time, and so I tend to lose interest in very long-term goals. I find it easier to deal with short to medium-term goals. So this is where I think it will be interesting to do 22,000 stitches in the year 2022. It means that on average I'll need to do 64 stitches per day, and that is achievable, more than achievable. So the other goal that I have is to be able to walk and run without pain. So my name is the Cross Stitching Runner, or I call myself the Cross Stitching Runner, mostly because of a blog that I have where my aim is to stitch every day and run when I can. And running for me has been the biggest health thing. It's the main exercise that my body positively responds to maintain weight and also lose weight if I eat properly or eat healthily. And just in the last 12 months I wasn't taking very good care of myself, in the sense that it's been like this for a while. Rarely stretched after I've done any form of exercise, and my body decided after a while that wasn't cool. So it started to get very tight in my right foot, and it meant that there's this thing called plantar fasciitis. So it just means that when I walk, it hurts. The muscles are very tight, and it's something that through stretching and such I can fix and get it better. But it just makes life difficult at times. So my aim is to bite the bullet, go see a physio, and do better, because this whole walking and running in pain is not good. It hurts too much. So the other thing, oh sorry, I'm knocking the camera, my apologies. So the other thing that I really want to achieve is cross stitch patterns. So for hot cross stitching, if you go and visit the website, you'll probably notice that there aren't many patterns there, and I want to improve on it. And the thing that is unique about hot cross stitching is that majority of the photos, or majority of the patterns that are there, are photos that I have taken and I have converted into cross stitch patterns. And there are some patterns there that I have created from scratch, rather than them being photos or anything that I've converted over. And I want to get more of both types up there to give people a variety to choose from. So the other thing, I guess as a side note, is to figure out how many I can practically get sorted out and uploaded to the website. And as a side note, marketing. I don't know about many of you, but I at times struggle to toot my own horn. So I think for most circumstances it's just getting more confident in saying, hey, this is something really cool, this is something I'm proud of, and going from there. So they're just a few things that I'm really wanting to try and achieve and get done in the new calendar year, in the new year. Okay, so at the moment I'm using DMC 939 and it's turning out pretty well. So I'm just going to zoom out, and you can sort of see that it's the center of the pattern here. What I'm really loving with the pattern at the moment are these pinks and purples that we're seeing around the edge here. I just love how they're showing up on this fabric right now, and especially when we've got the contrast of the purple fabric and the darker colors for the center of the flower here. I'm really enjoying it. So according to Pattern Keeper, I am pretty well smack dab in, pardon me, the center of this pattern, and yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this finishes up. But yeah, if there are any patterns there that you really like the look of but feel daunted by the size of it maybe, or the number of colours that might be there, or whatever it might be, I'm curious to find out what it is about those patterns that you might find a bit daunting, if that is the case, or if there are other patterns maybe that you'd like to see up there that could make it interesting. One of the other patterns that I really like on hot cross stitching on the website is one of the patterns called Flosstube Made Me Do It. So if by chance you're new to Flosstube, but you're an avid cross stitcher, you'll find that in the world of Flosstube we enable each other quite a lot through the sharing of different patterns, in terms of showing each other what we're working on, or what we've bought, what we've received as gifts, and everything in between. And as I know I've been enabled by quite a lot of people in the past, I've loved the look of certain patterns or fabric, and like, I've just got to go out and get it. And sorry, I just poked myself with a needle. Yeah, it's been a good thing and a bad thing, but yeah, the phrase Flosstube made me do it is just stuck in my head, and it's a matter of, I think, figuring out maybe borders or something, or other ways of finishing the project to actually make it look really cool. So one of the other challenges for this year, so I want to do more with hot cross stitching. So the challenge is I work full time as it is, and at times my job can be quite demanding, or at least draining in terms of the amount of time and brain power that I need to put into certain tasks. So what my challenge is figuring out when and how I can teach people to cross stitch. So that's the other component of hot cross stitching that you may notice on the website, where, sorry, I just need to focus for a moment, get the needle in where I need it. There we are. Okay, so the main premise of hot cross stitching is to build a community, or welcome, still create a bit of a community of people who have been wondering or interested in learning how to cross stitch or improving their skills in cross stitch if it's been a while since they've sat down with a needle and thread and done cross stitch. So with the current way of the world, I don't know about where you guys are, but where I am, it can be a bit topsy-turvy. The powers that be change their minds about where people can travel and how they travel and all that fun stuff in between. And so video calls and video conference calls, those sorts of things like Zoom and Microsoft Teams or FaceTime or everything in between has become the norm. And the interesting challenge will be, okay, how exhausted will people be from sitting in front of a computer, if that is your normal part of the job, to then do a social Zoom call or cross stitch sort of thing. And the additional challenge with all of this is people learn in different ways. So for some situations like this, I struggle. I've tried to teach myself how to crochet, and it hasn't been a hit. I haven't had much success with teaching myself how to crochet because I'm not sure if I'm holding the hook properly or the yarn, or if there's something about the tension of the yarn or everything in between. So I would much prefer to have someone sitting next to me showing me what's what where, and I imagine there'll be some people who are like that, but I am also going to work on some courses that I can have available for people who are fine with that kind of way of learning and may not necessarily be able to attend like a Zoom call or anything like that, but are interested still in learning how to cross stitch. So there's a few thoughts on there and how I'm going to get all of that done. So what I'm also curious about, if you guys want to let me know by dropping a comment in the comment box, is if you do find the Stitch With Me is interesting, or if there's a particular project or something you would prefer to see me working on, like especially based on what you've seen in the whip parade that I did recently. Have a look through that, and yeah, let me know if you would rather see me working on a different project from that whip parade, or if you like this pattern and you want to keep seeing me stitching on this. I'd love to know. Just let me know. Okay, so I've done 40 stitches so far with this. So in my professional life, I am the senior records officer for a government department, and I've been working in records management for most of my working life. And if you're not really sure what records management is, it can be one of the most boring things in the world if you've it's not really a cup of tea, but it can also be one of the most interesting things, or I find it interesting. So to put things into perspective, records management is one of the reasons why we have museums, why we have librarians and curators and such are also play a humongous part. But it's the social history that I love about records management, because all records, especially when you put them in the right context, they tell a story. So I realize I'm not doing a very good job of describing things right now, or explaining things. So what a record is something like this right now. Two things really. So this recording that you're watching right now is a record, because it's a record of me doing something, talking with you, showing you what project I'm working on. And the other record is this cross stitch piece. So a record can be something quite formal as well. It can be an email that confirms the it confirms a decision, or it shows that a decision has been made to spend money on purchasing more cross-stitch supplies, for example. So if you're in a business environment, you might be working for your local needlework store or something like that, and you need to do a supply run or order more supplies and that kind of thing. So you may have needed to send an email through to your head manager to say, okay, I need to order some more supplies. The customer has come in and has placed a request for some items that we don't normally carry. So there might be some specialty threads or something, or some special fabric, hand-dyed fabric that you guys may not normally stock, and so you need to get clearance from your manager or the office thing, if it's a specialty chain, to spend that money that you may not normally be authorized to spend. Alternatively, if you are that store owner, you might just need to refer to like a spreadsheet or you might need to refer to some other kind of document where you keep your budgets or whatever it might be, to be sure that you've actually got the funds. It might even be like a bank statement or something like that as well, where you're just double checking that, yep, okay, cool, we've got the funds, we can put that order through for you, that's no problems at all. So that's a little bit of records management. Again, I've butchered the description of what that can be like. I'm really sorry on that one. I am distracted right now with doing this cross stitch. So let's say, for example, you've got the approval from your manager, you've put the order through for the supplies, you get in contact with the customer who needs those supplies, and you would then store that email, that invoice, that bank statement somewhere. So it might be in a special piece of software that your business may choose to use. In the government context, we do have special records management software that we use, but the aim would then to store it somewhere. That means that you can find it later, and other team members can find that information as well. So that way, if there's any question about the order, so you might be waiting for ages for the supplies to come through, and they might have been coming from overseas, and because of the way of the world at the moment, there might be a bit of a delay in that stock coming through, so you might need to attach that invoice or attach a query or email or something to another email to send to the suppliers to say, hey guys, what's going on? When are we going to be getting our stuff? You said it was going to come in next week, or come in yesterday, but it hasn't gotten here. It hasn't been sent. So it helps with clarifying what's going on. But if we start looking into the grander social side of things, so if we talk about our videos, for example, our Flosstube, that many of us create and many of us watch, this is part of the social history side of things of records management. So the social side of things means that if we've got our videos stored away in a cloud or an external hard drive, we've got software that will enable us to continue to watch these videos and see them and create them and such. In years to come, we can actually have a look back on so many aspects of cross stitch. So we can look back on the projects we've been working on. We'll find that in, say, 10 years time, we'll notice that samplers were a huge thing for many people. There was a lot of patterns to do with Quakers. There were a lot of stitch-alongs or start-alongs happening. There were a lot of patterns that people wanted to stitch on to commemorate, I guess, the pandemic that's been happening. They've wanted to I guess commemorate other moments that have been happening in their lives. Or there's just been trends in Halloween patterns, for example, that are popular at the time, and there might be certain designers that were very popular, and we also may notice, I guess, our style of stitching. It may have changed quite a lot. So as a comparison, I guess back in the 80s and 90s, and potentially the early 2000s, the style of cross stitching was very, very pixel, in the sense that if we needed to do backstitch or some kind of outline to highlight key aspects of the pattern, you would need to stitch at least 2, maybe 3 sides of that particular square, and for the outline. But nowadays there are so many fractional stitches. I'll use this pink thread as an example. Rather than going down 2 blocks, left 2 and left 2 blocks, down 2 blocks, and doing the step style. It's like many of us are now in the habit of just carrying the thread and just going the straight diagonal. So that, I guess, that style and this pattern unfortunately doesn't lend to that back stitching that I'm trying to describe right now, the slight differences. So that's where the whole records management side of things and the social history kicks in. That's sort of where I'm getting at with our videos and the different types of cross stitch that we're doing, where we'll be able to look back on it in 10 years time, 20 years time, whatever the time frame, and we'll be able to go, oh my gosh, I remember doing that. And it's a really nice bit of nostalgia that we can experience. And with our cross stitch, I guess another example with the cross stitch are the samplers that are so popular at the moment. From what I've seen with many people and the stitching that they do, they'll be quite interested and passionate about the samplers that they're working on that are based upon a pattern or project that was done by, say, a 9-year-old girl 100 years ago, or whichever. And the reason why that sampler was done in the first place by the 9-year-old child. And then there's also the other components of social history in terms of so I'm thinking of many American things at the moment, of is it Juneteenth, 19th of June, that acknowledges and tries to commemorate and I guess acknowledge the African American or Black American cultures and what they've experienced and endured in America, and how far they've come, and I guess how much the Black Americans have contributed to society. And I guess it's similar to here in Australia as well, where we've come a long way and we've still got a long way to go. And I guess the struggle point is figuring out how to effectively commemorate and acknowledge those things without being offensive or diminishing those things. What I'm getting at though is there might be certain cross-stitch projects or patterns that might be subversive, that are very wordy, that just really want to empower people and acknowledge, okay, we've had a crap history, we want to improve, and this is a way of acknowledging that. So there's those moments in time as well, those bits of history, like the Me Too movement and those components that can really make the difference. Ow, sorry, I'm using a sharp needle. I really should change the needle. Ow, sorry. Oh, sharp needles. So I do have a needle with me. It's floating around somewhere. I'm not sure if you can see it very well. So it's a needle called Easy Guide ball tip needle. This one's size 26. Now this particular thing holds 2 needles. I don't know where my other needle's gone. It is floating around in this house somewhere. So as a result, I'm using a needle, I don't know what size it is, and it's very pointy, and it hurts if I poke myself. So that's just what's going on there. That's why I keep saying ow, because I keep poking myself. So one of the things I do enjoy doing if I'm not doing cross stitch, and I guess if I need a break from cross stitch, is I actually do gaming a bit. I tend to be far and few between the times that I do gaming. It's mostly I guess the platforms of Xbox or PlayStation, those 2 platforms. And one of the games that I've really gotten into is a game called XCOM. So the premise of XCOM is a I'll rephrase. So when I play XCOM, I am the commander of a team of soldiers, and I am to defend the world from being invaded by aliens. And there are different types of aliens with different abilities. And when I first start my squad and trying to defend the world, my soldiers are inexperienced, they're rookies, and they slowly go up through the ranks to become very skilled people. And in the early stages, I tend to do motivational speaking. So motivational speaking is ultimately me yelling and swearing at the TV because I'm not happy with how my soldiers are shooting. So the way the game works is I might have some aliens lined up and the percentage looks really good to be able to kill them, but somehow, some way, the soldiers completely miss, or they've panicked and freaked out and try to shoot each other rather than the aliens, or something goes wrong, and I, as a result, just get really frustrated by it. And it is a really good stress reliever, and it can make the world a difference if you're just really needing something to vent. Alternatively, if that kind of thing's not your cup of tea, one of the other games that I actually haven't played for a while but do enjoy is a game called Burnout Revenge, and it's a car racing game, and you go through the ranks of driving different cars, and the more races you win and that kind of thing, it unlocks other challenges and enables you to do other things. So if you get road rage, that can be a really good cathartic kind of game to play, because you get rid of some of your road rage, but then just need to be careful that you don't play too much of the game, because then I've found that it carries over into the real world, and I could get myself into trouble. So I've just lost my spot a little bit on the pattern for where I am trying to stitch, and I've actually got 62 stitches done already, so just got to get 2 more done, then I'll have done my minimum quota for the day. And once I've gotten the 2 more stitches done, we'll call it a day for this stitch with me. And I will love to hear more about what you guys think about this stitch with me. So I'd love to know if you want more of these types of sessions. I would love to find out if you would like to see more of this project. I would also love to know if you want me to just not talk and have some background music instead, or if there's I just want to know your feedback. I'd love to find out what you guys think of this stitch with me. So if you can drop a comment in the comment box below, if you've got any suggestions or recommendations. If you like what you see, if you like what you've heard, give me a thumbs up. That would be awesome as well, because that would help me to know that you guys appreciate and like what you've heard, like what you've seen, and that you want more. Alternatively, if you've really hated this, give me a thumbs down. That's totally cool too. That's no problems at all. So that's that for this stitch with me. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it, and I hope that you've had a really great New Year's celebrations and that kind of thing. And until next time, I'll catch you later. Bye.